Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 120 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. Hopefully going to be doing some Firefox hacking today. Today is super unorganized. I really, more than usual, haven't really planned what's going on today. If you've had, for example, a look at the agenda, which I'll talk about in a second, you'll notice that it's there's not a lot going on in there. We're going to find stuff to do. Don't worry, there's plenty of work to do. But I haven't really laid out how this is going to roll at all. So this is flying by the seat of my pants more than usual. But without, no excuses. Let's just do our best. So here's my screen. And, I don't know if you know this, but yesterday, November 14th, 2017, we released Firefox 57, and boy, it's a good one, and you should totally get it. If you are on the release channel of Firefox, you should go to the part of the browser where you can find out about the browser to apply the update. So if you're on Windows, you can open the menu. There's a help button, the old help button, which will be a question mark down here at the bottom of the panel, and then you should be able to choose About Firefox, I think, from the list of things that shows up under help. If you're on OS X, going under the Firefox menu over here and choosing About Firefox will work. But in either case, what you'll get is a dialog that comes up that shows you the version and the logo and stuff, and it will also download and apply updates if there are any. And if you're on release and you haven't gotten the update yet, because we roll them out slowly, then you will get the update, and you should see a much improved browser. You should have a way better browser after the restart. So that's just a little plug. You were there. If you've been watching this series for a while, we've been working on Firefox 57 for a long time. Various things have changed. Various things have improved and gotten faster, and finally with 57 they go out to the general public. So if you've been with me that whole time, we did it! Thanks for sticking around, and let's keep the momentum up. There's more work to do. There's always plenty of stuff we can improve and make faster. So let's keep up the momentum. I'm just gonna adjust my microphone here, and let's figure out what we're doing today. So today is November 15th, 2017. No plan survives breakfast, especially today, because there is no plan, and we're way past breakfast, so, it's a foregone conclusion. So if this is your first time watching this stream, it's probably evident by now that I'm making this stuff up as I go. None of the stuff I'm going to be writing or dealing with, if I'm writing any code, it's not pre-scripted like you may have seen in other coding demonstrations or something. I'm basically just showing you what I do when I work for a living on Firefox and the various surrounding projects for us to work on Firefox. And I'm just thinking aloud while I do it. So you're getting the real raw experience here. And this agenda that we're actually looking at is something that you can get a copy of, and that might be useful, especially as we flesh it out and I figure out what I'm doing. You might want to click on the links and stuff. So how do you get to the agenda? Well, if you're watching this on Air Mozilla, scroll down to the additional links section. There should be links to the agenda there. If you're on YouTube, check out the video description because I put a link there. And if you're on Facebook Live, check out the top pinned comment under this video because there's a link to the agenda. And if you're watching this on Twitch, you folks on Twitch, I have to drop it in the Twitch chat because there's no other way I've found to let me communicate with you per video. So there's the agenda, and there's also a link in the agenda to rate the episode and let me know what you thought. Episode. So I've dropped a link to that as well into the Twitch chat, and that link is also in all of the places I mentioned for the other video streaming services. So do let me know what you think. I read everything that comes in. It helps me to make the stream better for you. So let me know what you thought. At the end of this episode, click on that link, fill it out, and let me know. Okay, so still rolling with my new microphone. I hope that's still sounding good. I can probably get rid of this line for next time. Let's see. Am I streaming? Okay, I'm not dropping any frames. I am recording. You can hear me. Okay, good. So everything appears to be working. Let's also, I'm going to once again plug the episode guide. If you're not familiar with the episode guide, this is a viewer-run sort of collection of notes that go along with each episode. And right now we've got all the way up to episode 118. So that's only 2 episodes ago. And some of them are, very simple, straightforward. Here's a link to the YouTube video, or here's a blog post on this episode, or something. And then sometimes they have topics of things that I covered. Other times they'll have just like the link to Airmo and the agenda. And you should feel free to take your own notes while I'm doing this, doing these streams, and submit them. You can submit pull requests to this repository, and I will merge your notes in. Maybe you want to write down the stuff I was doing, or the mistakes I made, or suggestions, like sort of commentary, color commentary on things for the episode. So do send me pull requests to the repo. I'll merge. I merge them in very rapidly, so I don't even look for spelling mistakes. I just merge them in. If you're not sure how to create pull requests, there's a guide here that at least one user found and recommends. So go check that out. And there we go. So I think that's all of the preamble. We're already like a bunch of minutes in, like almost 7 minutes in. We haven't written any code yet or looked at anything. So let's get started. Okay. So for the past 2 months, it seems, we've been working on this tab warming stuff. If you're not sure what that is, go back like for the past, I'd say, dozen episodes, maybe less than that, maybe past 8 or 9 or 10 episodes we've been working on this thing. And we're so close. We are so close, but it keeps failing on OS X in this particular test case. And I think the most recent test failure is because I made a mistake. Yeah, there was an exception that I threw here, and I shouldn't have, and I want to fix that. So, and then push to try it again. So, yeah, this needs to be not initial tab, but requested tab, because I guess initial tab might not exist anymore. So the other thing I want to do is test unexpected fail, making visible tab state loaded. I think, yeah, that's exactly what we wanted to do. So this should hopefully fix our test failure, and then I'll be able to explain to Bill why we need this stuff. And I think I understand. And it's because of how full screen works on OS X. But the first thing to do is really to push this to try and make sure it's actually green. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up the font here so you can see what I'm doing. So I've got like a bunch of nasty patches on top of what I'd already done to do like a bunch of logging. And I've got this tweak for betterness commit on top that tried to make things better, but I used the wrong property. I shouldn't have used initial tab. I should have used either requested tab or visible tab, because in this case it's the same thing. And so, I'm saying making visible tab, so I might as well just like use visible tab. And then I'm going to amend that top commit, and then I'm going to push this to try, and hopefully by the end of the episode, automation gods willing, we'll have an answer on whether or not the test passes on try. Because that's the thing, I can't reproduce this locally, which is really frustrating. So I'm going to push to try using a new thing. Maybe you've seen this before, maybe you haven't. Mock try fuzzy. And mock try fuzzy allows me to choose very precisely what job I want to run. And this is the one I want to run on OS X, opt build. I want to run Moki test browser Chrome E10S on number 7. And so I just hit enter, and that will do the work of creating the information for the push for the tree herder system to figure out what exactly to build. And a bunch of stuff is going to go by because I have a bunch of uncommitted or untracked files in my directory. I should probably clear those out at some point. These are a lot of like .orig files and .rejected files or .reg files. Those are like leftovers from when merges have failed, or like applying patches have failed. So hopefully what we're going to see here is a green BC7 by the end of the episode. And I say hopefully because we can do cross-compilation of the OS X build. That's very simple. That only takes about 20 minutes. That's well within the length of this episode. But getting the actual test run, that has to run on actual Mac OS hardware because you can't virtualize it. And even though this only took 30 minutes, it was requested at 16:34 and it started the next day, like 8 hours later. And that's because there's a constraint, or there's resource contention. There are only so many real Mac OS machines that are 1010 running 1010 in our test running pool, and try builds tend to be lower priority than say other things. And probably yesterday when I pushed this particular job, other stuff was taking priority, and so my job didn't get scheduled until like super late, which blows. But at the same time, I understand that some things are more important than what I'm doing, and I have to accept that other people are doing more important work. Okay, so while we're waiting for that result, so we're blocked here. I've got a note for this bug. We're blocked on a try build. I'm going to get the link to this try build, and I'll put it at the bottom of my notes. And I should probably write down what's happening. So I've got a log from not this build, but from the one before, where I added a bunch of logging, where I think I can describe what's going wrong. Test unexpected fail, and that happens here. And the reason we fail is because we time out. And the reason we time out is because we do this optimization where if a tab, so you can tell a browser that it's not being shown, but that it should not throw out any of its layer information by calling preserve layers on it and passing true. And we do that in certain cases. So for example, whenever we minimize a window, we say, okay, the dock shell is no longer active, but don't throw out the layers. That way we don't get a flash whenever the window comes back. If it gets unminimized, we don't have to like recompute and then draw the layers. You don't get a flash. We have the layers already. And so that's whenever we're minimized. We do the same thing when we're occluded on Mac OS. This is unique to Mac OS. And by occluded, I mean if the entire window is covered by something else, and we can't see it, that's occluded. Then we do the same thing. We shut the dock shell down, but we keep the layers around, because you never know. You might move the window that's covering it, and we want to be able to show right away the stuff that's behind that window. This is a little optimization that we do. And whenever we enter and exit full screen, there is this for some reason, and I don't know why it is, there is this occlusion state change. And I don't fully understand why that happens, but what ends up happening is the initial browser, we end up with two browser tabs in this test, and the second tab is the one that's selected. And then what we do is we enter So that first browser is, we're occluded, and so that selected browser, the dock shell is shut down, but the preserve layers is turned on. So that's what I should write down. Hang on. Let me start over. So I'm going to write all this down while I say it, because this is useful stuff. When we enter full screen, on Mac OS, there's this occlusion state change that's gumming up the works. Enter and or exit, because I think it happens in both cases when we're entering and exiting. What happens is, I think, we exit full screen, we see an occlusion state change, and we're told we're fully occluded. And that's not super surprising. If you take a look at the effect when we enter full screen and when we exit full screen, I wonder if the occlusion is this thing that's like animating. So like there's something going on, I think, where we're animating. I wish I could like record that somehow. I bet, you know, I could add some logging or something, but I think there is an occlusion state change because of the thing that Mac OS is covering. Like, here's what I think happens. Whenever I enter full screen, and if you slow this video down, you'll probably see what I'm talking about. When I click this button, I think Mac OS takes basically a snapshot of the window, like all the pixels for the window, and then it does this like stretching effect. And you can actually see it. If you watch this button, watch the reload button. Notice how I don't know if it's too slow. It might be better if, it's too fast rather. It might be better if I changed my density, and like look at the back button. Look at the circle around the back button. Is that doing what I think it's doing? Well, maybe I'm not describing this correctly. I think I'm wrong about, well, or at least this example is not working out. What I was trying to say is I think Mac OS takes the pixels and then sends it off to its own compositor system and says, I want you to animate this thing stretching out. And that's something that it can do very quick, very smoothly, because it's just doing the scaling business, you know, scaling along the width and the height to get this growing effect. And I think Mac OS is putting that thing in front of our window. And I think that's why it's being considered an occlusion change. And like, you notice everything kind of snaps around whenever we're done. There's like a recalculation, everything snaps. I think what's actually happening is the thing in front of our browser window disappears. I think that's what's going on. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is some kind of crossfade. Anyways, there are two elements, and I think there's a crossfade going on, and I think that's what the occlusion state change is all about. Anyways, the reason that matters, so we exit full screen, we see an occlusion state change, we're told we're fully occluded. That's whenever we're exiting. And and so we disable the dock shell, or we set the dock shell as inactive, and we preserve the layers. Then, while we're in that state, I think we initiate a tab switch, because I don't think we wait for the animation to finish. And so we initiate a tab switch, and then this code right here, is skipped, because when we initiate the tab switch, we run all this stuff, and we say we are because we're fully occluded at the time, we don't set the initial tab to be loaded or loading. We say we just like leave it be. And so in the init function of the async tab switcher, we skip the part where we set the initial tab to be in state loaded or state loading. Okay? Then the animation finishes. While we've got the async tab switcher existing, and the animation that's doing the full screen transition, it finishes, and what's called an occlusion state change occurs. And we call this function on size mode or occlusion state change, and we see whether or not we're minimized or fully occluded. We aren't. We've exited the state of being fully occluded. So we enter this branch, and so we do nothing. And so what ends up happening when we do nothing, in after the transition completes. Oh, so there's someone talking in Twitch. T-Blod-T is saying, that's how all animations work. And an animation on macOS is take some layers, take a before and after screenshot of contents, location, rotation, then send the whole thing to the GPU to run the actual animation. By the time the animation starts, everything should already have been redrawn or relocated to how it should have been when the animation is done. I think the snapping of the frame contents is a bug. Very possible. I also think actually that the occlusion state change might be a bug. Even though macOS is, I think, covering us with that thing that's growing and shrinking, that's creating that illusion. I'm not sure if we should be counting that as an occlusion state change. But anyway, that's the state of the world. After the transition completes, we fire occlusion state change while the switcher exists. And then we enter this function on size mode or occlusion state change. On size mode or occlusion state change, which doesn't do anything, it just bails out. And then what ends up happening is it's got this comment, do nothing. We'll automatically start loading the requested tab and post actions. And that's true. We're going to try and load that initial tab and say like, hey, you need to start loading. And that's what we do right now. We say, okay, render layers, and I'm going to activate your dock shell and stuff. Well, actually, it just calls render layers on it. We'll do the activation of the dock shell. But we bail out because we had already rendered layers and we were holding onto them. We were preserving them from before. Even though the first step whenever you initiate the tab switch is to stop preserving layers. If you were preserving layers before, we don't drop them if we say preserve layers false. We keep them around. So we have this state where the browser has layers. So what the upshot is, or the end result is initial tab or initial browser has layers no longer being preserved, but they exist. So the tab is in state loaded, but the async tab switcher thinks that the tab is in state unloaded, so then it sets it to state loading. And then the tab parent, when hearing that it should be rendering the layers for the tab because it just transitioned to state loading, says, hey, I've already got layers. And then bails out. And the event that we're waiting for that says, okay, layers are ready, that's Moz layer tree ready, never arrives. So my solution to all of this is that when the occlusion state change or size mode change completes on what was it called? On size mode or occlusion state change, if we are no longer minimized or occluded and the initial tab and the requested tab is the same tab as the visible tab, then we should be in state loaded. That is my assertion. And so if we're in state loaded, then we're done. You know, the tab switch is complete. The tab was already visible. And that's why this thing is just like taking forever. We're dumping state here. I don't know if you can read this, but it's saying like, hey, I'm requesting the second tab. That's tab 338, tab ID 338. I'm waiting. Plus question mark means loading, and it's just waiting and waiting and waiting for an event that'll never come, and then eventually we time out. We time out, and that's why the test fails. Test timed out. So that's what's going on, I think, and so that's why I'm waiting for this try push. So what's going to happen now is on size mode or occlusion state change, I'm making the visible tab be in state loaded if the requested tab is the same as the visible tab. And I think that's going to do the job. I hope. Fingers crossed. We will see. So that's where we're at with that. We're going to let that cook for a bit. I'm glad I wrote this stuff down, though. I've been waiting for an opportunity to just kind of get my brain state out there. So there it is. That's one thing. Now the second thing that I've been looking at is this bug here. Maybe I should write down what I've done so far. So, boy, we're close. We posted a very small fix to try and dumped brain state into the notes for the bug. Here's this other bug I'm working on. Tab scrolling with mouse wheel is very, very slow. And I'm going to try and demonstrate this for you. I'm going to open up a bunch of tabs here. So I've got a lot of tabs here, maybe even more. I want like over 100 if I can. I'm just like opening tabs like crazy. All right. And I'm set. I could probably help. I need more. I need more tabs. More tabs. And then what I could also do is I could probably just like make the window smaller. That'll help in my demonstration. So I've got all these tabs. I'm going to shrink the window down. And one thing that people have noticed is that, like, on Windows at least, the tab scrolling behavior is too slow. And actually on Mac OS, it's not bad. It's on Windows. You know what? This is going to be too hard for me to demonstrate on Mac OS. So maybe what I can do is I will pull down, or I'll boot up my Windows VM and I can demonstrate there. Maybe. Fingers crossed. Let's see if my machine can handle it. There's not enough memory, so nope. Maybe what I can do is disable this Vagrant VM I've got running. I'm gonna exit Vagrant halt, or Vagrant suspend, I think is a valid command. Saving. Come on, VirtualBox. Well, while I'm waiting for that, what I want to do is show you the sort of the conversation that's going on inside that bug. So let me put this in the notes first of all. Notes. So first of all, here's the bug link. That's in there, and now I'll put a link to the notes. Okay. So you can follow along there if you reload the agenda. And so this is the bug. These are the bug notes. And let's take a look at the commentary in the bug. So Dow and I are having a minor disagreement over over how to approach fixing this bug. I have a patch up here, but I don't think he's super happy with my solution. Oh, and my virtual box is shut down. That's great. So maybe now I can boot my VMware VM, my Windows VM. Hey, I can. That's great. So while I'm waiting for that to boot, he wondered why I moved. So in this part of the patch, I switch us from using the scroll box to the scroll box object. And he says, why this change? I'd rather move away from using NSI scroll box object to the standard DOM APIs as much as possible. And I said, accessing scrolled with using the scroll box object allows us to avoid layout flushes. Accessing via NSI scroll box object gives me the data I need while only flushing frames. So, and then I pointed him at the code, and he says, maybe so, but NSI scroll box object is legacy tech that we need to move away from. I'm also skeptical that we don't need to flush layout here to get accurate numbers. And I said, well, how did you want to proceed then? A solution that causes us to flush layout synchronously is kind of a non-starter, so did you have something else in mind? And he said, you don't seem to be using scroll size, so I'm not sure why you're touching this in the first place. Is that true? If so, then that like fixes everything. Scroll size. Oh, start position. I use start position. As for scroll box object in the wheel event handler, doesn't scroll by pixels need to flush layout anyway? So what's the win from not flushing layout already before the call? Scroll by pixels. So he has good questions. So first of all, he's right. I shouldn't. This is like leftover stuff. I should not need it. Dow's right. I need to revert this change since it's leftover code from development that I stopped using. So that's a good point from Dow. Pump up the font in here so you can read it. So remove the change to, what was it? Scroll size that I no longer need. And then figure out, the second thing I want to do is figure out if scroll by pixels already flushes layout. He says, doesn't scroll by pixels need to flush layout anyway? So that's the question, is scroll by pixels flushing layout? So what I'm gonna do in my VM here, hello, I'm gonna pull down, what's the state of the tree in my Windows VM here? My Windows VM isn't super powerful, but the good news is that because this is all just front-end code, I can do an artifact build, which will be significantly faster. Right, so I want to prune tip. Oh, I don't have prune, are you serious? HT strip R tip. Woo, come on, Mercurial. What is going on? Well, while it's figuring itself out, maybe I need to, oh, there we go. I am going to now pull central. You can't see me typing in here, but I'm queuing up the keyboard event so that they're all ready. I'm going to pull central and then update to it and press enter. So once this, hey, see, that's what happened. And so now it's going to contact Mercurial repository from Mozilla Central, pull down all the latest stuff, the latest gunk, and we're going to update to the tip. And then I'm going to pull down the change I made in this bug, and we can start doing some tests to figure out about layout flushes. So he thinks that scroll by pixels needs to flush. And let's find out. Does scroll by pixels already flush layout? Let's find out. I don't think it does. Scroll by. Scroll by, I don't think flushes layout. Let's find out though. Scroll by. If it does, then that answers that question. Scroll by. Graphic scroll frame. This will be, I think, here. Scroll by. Destination. Scroll to with origin. Do we ever flush layout? Port event. Interruptible. I don't know if it's true. That's a thing we could test, and we will test. I have an add-on that we can install that will allow us to hopefully detect whether or not we're flushing layout with scroll by pixels. So that's been pulled down. Let's pull the patch down now. So we're going to import it. It's sometimes infuriating waiting for Mercurial to do that stuff. Oh no, it's scroll box object. It's a Zool scroll box object. So let's see if get position gets the scroll frame. Scroll frame will get the frame. False, and so it does not flush layout. No, I do not believe it flushes layout, Dow. I don't believe so. Wait, that's scroll box object. No, that's exactly the wrong thing. That's, whoops, I made a mistake. It's element scroll by. Then we get the scroll frame. It's an SVG element, and then we pass a flush type, but if we don't pass a flush type, what's the default? Go to the definition, search for elements H, get scroll frame. What's the default? We'll flush layout. So maybe he's right. He could very well be right here, that when the first time we call scroll by, we might flush layout. Okay. So I've got the patch imported, and it's on top. So now what I'm going to do, I think this is an artifact build. Artifact build there. So I'm going to build, and this should hopefully not take too long. So if he's right and scroll by already flushes, then I should be able to go through I should be able to get the start position. Start position, get scroll, call scroll size. Not scroll size, I want the scroll position. Like scroll left, essentially. Scroll left or scroll top, whichever one it is. And I think there's a, I want to use start end props, and then how was it done before? There was the old implementation. Actually, I think I have the code for the old implementation in the notes. Yes, I do. How did it do it? I used scroll start position. Where did it find the start position? Scroll box, scroll position. That was the start position. So if I can just do that, then I think we're done. Assuming that doesn't add... Oh, it wants me to clobber. So that might take a little while because disk. Oh. No, it's already done clobbering. So now it's going to do the build part. So I guess figure out if scroll by pixels already flushes layout. It looks like it actually might. Element scroll by. Let's see if we can reference it here. Scroll by calls get scroll frame with no arguments. With no arguments, which, and I can link that. And there's, and when that occurs, get scroll frame automatically assumes we need to flush layout. So how do I show that? Get scroll frame right here. Permalink. Assumes we need to flush layout. And let's just follow it through, do our due diligence here. We're gonna follow this through. So call into get scroll frame with flush layout. And then we call get primary frame with a flush type. And then, yeah, then we flush pending, that's it. We flush the, we flush layout. And then we totally flush layout, which happens right there. Dow's point is that if we're already flushing layout, to call scroll by, then it should be okay to flush layout slightly earlier. And this shouldn't cause any performance regressions. It might, however, cause us to fail some reflow regression tests, since we're adding another place where we're of potential reflow. So there is that to keep in mind. This is still happening. That build's taken just a little while, but it's almost done. We're already almost 4 minutes in. I'm pretty sure that this happens and it takes something like about 4 minutes. Hey, yeah, we're almost there. Done. Great. So now we should have ourselves a build that we can run. Great. And now I'm going to open up a bunch of tabs. And this is what we wanted. This is the ideal. Nice fast scrolling, kind of like how we have it on OS X. Because before, without this patch, it'll look a lot more like, well, I'll show you. Let me open up, oh, this machine is wigging out. Okay, I'm going to show Windows, I'm going to make it restore from last time. I'm going to exit. And then I'll go back one patch. So update to central, build faster, and show you what it's like whenever I'm scrolling with without the patch. Part of it does not like. Let's find out why. I can run it again. No, it still doesn't like it. Error. Activity stream initial state is already added in Chrome. Content pre-rendered. Okay, well, I'm just going to do then build the toolkit content widgets. Or how about toolkit content? That's where the scroll box change occurred. Oh, come on. Oh, yeah, I have to say mock build. Toolkit content. All right. Now if we run, we should have all those tabs from last time. And then you'll notice that, no, I don't think it applied the reverso of the patch. Mock build toolkit. Mock, and then maybe browser. How about both? I have a Windows machine at my desk that I generally use for this. I don't normally use my virtual machine for Windows development. It's too slow, but I can't bring my Windows box into the stream, so that's why I'm using it. And so a lot of the utilities I'd normally be using, like Evolve and HG Previous and Next, are not there, and that's frustrating. Go, go, go. Okay, well, while we're waiting for that, I think we figured out that it does flush layout. Yes, it does. So then the last thing is I want to switch to using scroll position and then see if we fail any of the reflow regression tests. So I have to do that, and then I have to do that, and then we're done. Meanwhile, let's check out our try push, see how that's going. Okay, so yeah, the build finished, but we've got our job here that's queued, and it's just sitting here. It was queued 37 minutes ago, and who knows how long it'll take to actually run. It's very frustrating. It's slow going. And if this doesn't fix it, I might have to like request that I get a dedicated machine to run this test on. Oh, machines being slow all over. Okay, so there's that, and then what else did I want to look at today? Oh, it's 1:52. What am I likely to be able to get done? Oh, there's that Search Fox thing. I really do wish the, yeah, there we go. Come on, finish the job. Why are you taking forever? So the other thing we could work on There's a work week happening in Toronto. That's where I'm located. And the thing that you've probably seen me use this tool. I used it earlier today. I've been using it to like look through code. So there's this tool called SearchFox that allows you to quickly search and like navigate the source code for a bunch of stuff. Mozilla Central, for example. Boom, browser. I can like check out a bunch of stuff. I can read the code. Whoa, that's garbage. I can like read the source code inside browser, base, content, about dialog, and then it's syntax highlighted, and it does a lot of work to like find interesting things, and like so I can search for variables and do lots of great things searching through the source code. And one of the things that I was thinking of doing was making it so that you can, well, first of all, not only link to the actual image, but maybe even show a preview of the image above the graphic itself, or the code itself, is what I was thinking. And so I've got some code to do that, and I want to show you fine folks, but we have to wait until this Windows VM thing is done. So let's go back. Let's run this. I have to wait until the Windows VM is shut down because my machine can't handle running that many VMs at the same time. How do I demonstrate the slowness here? I don't know. Chrome, was it scroll box? So for some reason, is the scroll box stuff global content bindings scroll box? Global content bindings scroll box.xml, and then wheel. Yeah, it is scrolling. All the code that I've this code. So we haven't seen the before state yet. You're just gonna have to believe me that the before state is worse. Although this is very frustrating. Why, of all things, get htlog graph? Why aren't the changes manifesting? Because I've got the central checked out. Maybe I just have to do a general build. Well, just trust me that that scrolling on Windows is a lot slower. If you trust me there, maybe you'll trust me one more step. We're gonna modify the code slightly to let's see here. We're gonna modify the code so that instead of using scroll box object, we use scroll box scroll position. And then the goal is to figure out whether or not that's actually worse or better. So I'm going to do mock build, and then I'm going to run the reflow tests. I got a feeling this this error is killing me here. I got a feeling that's the problem. That's not letting me. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'm not sure. So what if I clobber and build again? So while we're waiting for that, this SearchFox thing. So part of the challenge actually is making this look like good. So I've got like a preview. This is actually really awful. I'm showing you here. This is like, this is crazy. This looks really bad. And so let me revert some of the stuff in here. 10. I'll show you what it's supposed to, like in the ideal scenario, look like. Radius 5, or what was it, 10? And then the container, the SVG itself, I'm going to get rid of the width and the height. And this thing, I'm going to get rid of the width and the height. And then the preview. Well, it was something like this. What else? Max width, SVG. What's got this border in it? This has this border, margin left, container, actual SVG. Why is it so large? Width 20 px. Alright, get rid of it. It recalculates it as larger again. Why is that? Max width, padding 25. Well, what I wanted to demonstrate was, oh, and there's something here. What is this thing with this dark background? SVG preview. Why does it have a dark background? Background color red, white, none. Now let's close the inspector. Maybe that'll help. Okay, so I've got this preview of the circle. That's all this is an SVG circle, and I futzed around. I made it so that you can put like a checkerboard behind it, which is sometimes useful when there's an alpha channel. But there is a bunch wrong with this still, and I'm not sure what to do with it just yet. I think part of my issue is I don't exactly know what I want this to look like. Because you've kind of got this image floating in outer space. When you don't have the the border, and if we can get this thing constrained a little bit, let me copy all of this and then reload. Oh, I can't reload the page. The server's not up, so I can't reload the page. But I can just get it to resize a little bit. SVG preview. Stop being so big. Get rid of the attributes here. Don't need those. Don't need that. Or that. Or that. And then the actual SVG itself is quite small. Why is the outer one so large? I don't know. And the inside is larger than the outside. I have a feeling I just screwed the pooch somehow. Layout is computed. The actual image is 250 by 50. And this image is 20 by 20. And this one is so much larger. And why? Why? Like if I say your width is 20px and height is 20px, then it like makes sense. Let's just hold that there for now. Like I just want to know what is the best layout for this preview? What makes sense in the context of all of like what already exists? It's kind of I don't want this to look really sort of tacked on. So what I think I want to do is I'm gonna take a screenshot and start rearranging things in something like GIMP, and then I can start playing with it a little bit. But I only want to do that if this is done. So that's done now. I'm gonna run the performance tests, and that includes the reflow tests. Maybe, yeah, I'll run them all. It'd be super great if this was queued up, but it's not yet. Probably have to wait till tomorrow. It's terrible. Queued for 49 minutes. Sometimes I've had to wait days for my Mac OS job to take place, which is terrible. We need more Mac OS hardware. How's the test run going? It's regenerating the back end. So I'm going to be waiting for that for a bit. So in the meantime, let's go back to our design thing. I'm going to open up GIMP. It's been a while since I've used it. I have no idea what... Oh man, it's been so long. I want to copy this to the dash to GIMP. I need a copy from clipboard maybe, or like capture. If I do that, I think I can capture this to clipboard. And then I think in GIMP I can go like create from clipboard. There we go. I guess that's what I wanted. It's really awkward to have the tools laid out like this. I wish there's probably a way for me to like move these tools. Move this whole thing. Can I move this whole thing to the other side? Like unlock the docs, single window mode, toolbox, doc, tool options, toolbox. I need to like, I want to move that there. Move. I don't know, man. I just don't know. Okay, anyways, without getting too distracted, I think what I might want is something more like, oh, here, I'm gonna put a background color. Create a layer that's just white in the background. Just gonna fill that with white. I'm not great at GIMP, by the way, or image editing in general. I'm pretty mediocre. All right, so fill that with white. That should work, right? No, you don't like it. Why not? Fill. Oh, because I have a selection. That's why. All right, so fill white, and then what I can do is take this region. SmurfD says, if you uncheck the single window mode, the layers and stuff in GIMP is movable. Drag the tabs. Drag the tabs. So I can like drag the tabs like this. I can do that. That's nice. But I want this stuff over here. Like these things, these tools on the right. And so, you know, SmurfD brings up the turn off single window mode, which totally legit. I can do that. But I want single window mode. I want a single window. I just want the tools on the left here. I want it to kind of look like this, except I want these things further to the left. Basically, I want it to look like Photoshop. Hey, that's closer. That's closer. But then how do I move? You can draw. All right, layers there. Yeah. Tool options here. Yeah. Then maybe just all of these other things over here. Yeah. Hey, this is working out. It's a little buggy, but it's working out. Hey, folks, we did it. Brushes will go there. Patterns. Gradients. I think I'm about to get what I want. Almost. It just kind of looks like ass. All right, there we go. Better, better, better. That's what I wanted. Great. This is what I wanted. Fantastic. Okay, so I want to take this region and I want to cut and paste on this. Sorry, clear selection. On this pasted layer, I want to cut this thing out. And so I think I might want it to line up like this. And then Brenny says that this little button over here collapses the things I don't want. So I can like get rid of, like, I can close certain tabs. So maybe I don't want the gradients tab, for example. Close tab. Close tab. I gotta say, not the most intuitive, but we're talking about GIMP here. It's free, and I won't look a gift horse in the mouth. Not right now, anyways. So thank you very much. I got there. You're right, Brenny. I got there. Okay, so I think I kind of want it to look something like maybe a little more lined up like that. And what else could you do? Like, I feel like it's weird to have something like this image just kind of floating in outer space. What do other, like, are there other tools that I can take inspiration or more accurately steal ideas from? Like SVG editor and viewer online. HTML. Standalone SVG viewer. So something that'll show me both code and the SVG. I want to know how they arrange things. I want to know what it looks like. SVG preview. Boxy SVG editor. So here is a tool. Okay, and a screen. That's not what I want. That's too much of a dry tool. I want like a freeform code editor. SVG code editor preview online. Live SVG editor. That sounds right. So something like, I guess this is how they're doing it. You've got code on the left, and then they have this whole this section on the right for looking at the result. I guess that's okay, but what they've done is they've partitioned the space in half, and I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to have like half of the space dedicated towards what might most likely is a very small image. I wonder if maybe it should go under navigation. Like, so in SearchFox we have this like revision control. I wonder if I could do like preview here. GitHub uses a toggle according to Brenny, so we can switch back and forth between, oh man, that is glitchy. Flash of unstyled content. But it uses a toggle. That's interesting, because you might want to go back and forth. Okay. A toggle. So maybe what we could do then is have like navigation. So there's revision control as a section, and then maybe there's like preview SVG, or there's like maybe a toggle under navigation. And then when you click on that, the code goes away and we just see the image. And maybe it could be centered, and we could have more controls like a checkerboard that goes behind it and stuff. So you get like an image preview. Okay, I'm starting to like that. I'm starting to like that. So that by default you see the code, but then you can like flip this open and get a preview of it. And the navigation panel is usually open by default anyways, I think. So you just have like you'd see the code, you'd say like something like that. We'd see the code here, and then there'd be a button for like preview. Click on that, and then we'd see the image. And then we could go back, like see the code. I mean, raw should probably just take you to the image anyways. Raw should just like show you the image. Maybe that'd just be better. Is there a value in showing the SVG in Searchbox? Or am I just being fancy? Worth thinking about. How's our test going? Oh, we are locked up. Probably because it was waiting for focus or something and I had pulled focus. So let me shut that down. Let me be more specific. I care about tab strip overflow, underflow, reflows, because that's when the tab strip scrolls. We're going to see if this passes, and if it does, I think I want to do one more thing, which is to install the Ono reflow add-on that I wrote that logs reflows, synchronous reflows. Okay, so that test is done, and we pass, so that's good. So now let's run and install Ono reflow. Oh no, reflow. So, installation. First install the reflow API experiment add-on. Allow it, and then it won't let me because it's a legacy add-on, so I have to allow legacy add-ons, and then allow. It's unverified, so I also have to turn off signing. XPI signatures required, false. Allow, done. We add it. Okay, then I install Ono reflow here. Allow, add. Okay, so now I've got Ono reflow running. I'm going to set the threshold to very low, and now I can add a bunch of tabs. Now, I'm causing reflows to occur, that's why that number is increasing. We should dump a report now and try and see what's going on. Why am I not seeing any reflows being listed here? What? Is there a problem with Ono reflow? Oh, ignore native reflows. That's what I need to do. Native reflows are hidden, and we don't show stacks for those. Okay, so I'm going to ignore native reflows. And then reset. And I'm going to scroll. I don't think I have enough tabs to scroll here. What the? Is scrolling just flat out broken? That's a problem. So no wonder. I did cause a reflow there. Dump report, and then nothing. This is all wrong. I'm gonna exit for a second here. So first of all, scroll box, scroll position, that is broken. And why is that broken? I'm really flailing here. Scroll this dot scroll box scroll position. Is that something I even have access to? This dot scroll box. Oh, whenever I'm here, it's underscore scroll box. Whenever I'm in the scope of the actual binding. So that means, ta-da, gotta build again. Maybe I can do build faster and it's not going to complain. Let's find out. Nope, it complained. What's up with this? Activity stream business. Don't tell me I have to do a clobber build again to get this to manifest. Ugh, this was supposed to be faster. I gotta talk to the activity stream people. What is this business? Error in MozPack. Chrome content pre-rendered stack activity stream initial state is already added. So maybe if I go to CD browser extensions, activity stream, nope. Find, what is it called? Activity stream initial state. Activity stream initial state.js. There. So dist bin browser features activity stream Chrome content pre-rendered static. I'm gonna remove that file. Let's see what happens. This is not the greatest idea I've ever had, but let's see if it actually lets me move forward. Just deleting stuff. Let's just delete things. Still hates it because debug.html, so it's a different error message, but that's good. So I think what I'm going to do is just like delete everything in here in pre-rendered. Where was I before? Static. Chrome content pre-rendered. Did I have a direct, like a language before? Was in content pre-rendered static, so why can't I be there now? Let me just copy this. Content pre-rendered static. This is where I want to be. How come I can't just do that again? So let me cd that. No such file directory, because I need to be here. And now run it again. Now I'm here. If I go back up one, so oh, it's right here. That's where I wanted to be. Static. That's what it was. Now I'm going to get rid of everything .html. Hooray! And now Mozilla Central, mock, build faster. Hoo boy. Still hates it because faster, config faster rules, different onboarding. Onboarding has a bunch of stuff that's a problem. In Chrome, content lib, UI tour lib already added in MozPack. This is bonkers. wait. If I just do that, will you be happy? Will you do the thing I need you to do? Can we scroll now? Restore previous session. No, scrolling is legit broken and hasn't been fixed yet. Scroll box is undefined. Well, screw it, folks. I think this VM, doing this development in this VM is super painful and it's killing me. So what I'm going to do is shut the VM down and do this work on my PC at my desk because I'm getting nowhere with this. But in the meantime, I really am starting to gravitate towards this idea of having a toggle. Thank you very much, Brenny. But I'm not entirely certain that we can do much better than, like, we should just probably make raw link to the actual image. And interestingly enough, there's already, I think, someone working on that. So here's show SVG images as images. It would be nice if clicking on the raw view of an SVG image showed you the actual image rather than just the source. And then there was a pull request from Cats, and what happened? Did it get merged? This patch is untested since the nav panel only seems to show up on Mozilla Central, which I haven't indexed locally. Fixes this. Unfortunately, the OID we have is from Git, so it won't work in HG. Let's talk today about how to do this. I just pointed to tip rather than use the OID, since the raw link only appears when you're using the tip version anyways. But yeah, we should talk about this more. I'd like to make the navigation panel appear in the test repos, so this kind of change can be exercised more easily. Allow the JSON HG root. Updated patch to use the HG map to pull the HG revision from the Git OID. I merged a version of this change as part of this. I realized that output file RS already generates output for tip anyways. Okay, so it sounds like this is already fixed in that when you click on raw, you're gonna get the image preview. It just needs to be deployed. So cool. I guess my work is done. Unless maybe it's possible that the SearchFox people want my preview thing anyways. I should talk to them. Boy, today was sort of an we were running around doing nothing, which is too bad because I feel like I had a lot of good energy, but thwarted by technology. I am glad, however, that we were able to write this stuff down. This was useful, actually. Writing this down was very useful, and we actually ended up. So what did we get to with tab scrolling? I think Dow makes some great points. We just need to verify that using scroll position instead of the scroll box object to get the starting position of a scroll doesn't cause layout flushes. Okay. Well, I think I'm going to call it there. Hey, thank you so much for watching episode 120 of The Joy of Coding. I believe it's 120. Was today 120? It was 120. Thanks so much for watching 120. Let me know what you thought. There's a link to rate the episode in all of the agendas. I'm going to drop another link to that in the Twitch chat. I know it's been like deadly quiet in there anyways, but I'll put a link there anyways to rate the episode and let me know what you thought. I know we didn't get a lot of code written, unfortunately. My machine was fighting me the whole way, and you know, that sucks. What are you going to do? So I hope to see you next week with episode 121. I'll hopefully have a little more planned. I'll have something juicier for us to bite into, and you know, we can maybe make some decent forward progress on a thing. And hopefully by then we'll know whether or not this patch is gonna be ready to land. We can get re-reviewed and like land. That'd be great. I hope to have a positive update on that next week for you because, man, we've been waiting a long time for that to land. All right. Well, thanks again. And hopefully, I will see you next week with episode 121. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.